Hi there people, and welcome to the second episode of Design Talks channel. Today we're going to have a very important video. We designers always complain about all the same things. Like they don't care about the design, they don't understand why design is important, we have to struggle all the time to promote our ideas. Yeah, the reason why it happens is not all of us work in design-centric companies. So today let's talk about what is design centrism, how you can define and measure it, and how to avoid the biggest possible career mistake. So let's get started. A few years ago, I was watching a documentary about one of the 20th century design legends, Massimo Vignelli, and what he said really blew my mind. I'm such a big fan of his Italian accent. So what he said was, if you want to be a great designer, you should work on great projects. And yeah, that's true. But where can I get those great projects? Of course, in a great company. So for designers, the great companies are the ones that value the design, understand why it is important for their business, and are ready to spend the necessary time and resources to always keep its quality high. Therefore, they are the companies who will hire the best designers, respect them, and give them enough freedom for creativity. That's what we call design-centric company, or sometimes design-oriented companies too. But still, design-oriented sound like design is their main direction, while they may do something else but have a huge passion on design. The reasons we designers should work there are countless. First of all, we are not artists. We don't have this privilege to sit alone in studio and paint whatever we want. In fact, we have to collaborate with a lot of people, and the overall environment plays the major role in our productivity and creativity. This is especially important for young designers because DC companies are the ones who will give them all the necessary skills and let them gain the mindset they need to become a professional designer. Just to clarify, design centrism is something like a parameter in a specific range. So from 0 to 10, companies like Apple, for example, will get the maximum 10, and other companies may get like 8 or 7 or 9, which is good by the way too. So no matter where you are in your career, your strategy should be, if you really want to be the next Massimo Vignelli or next Don Norman, your career strategy should be landing a job in the company with the highest possible DC level. That's it. So why some companies are design-centric and the others are not? The answer lies in their business model. Some companies are just okay with having some sort of average design. Maybe they are producing something that is not very expensive, and so their design should not express this enterprise high quality level, And vice versa. There are some companies who have a lot of problems which are impossible to solve without having great and very well thought out and crafted design. Getting back to Apple, in the very early 1970s, what computer was a very huge and complicated machine created by geeks for geeks. To operate even very easy things like sending an email, you have to be an engineer. So what Apple was trying to do, and other companies at that time, they were trying to remake that complicated machine into something that ordinary people will be able to use and therefore to buy. Plus, Apple from the very beginning possessed itself as a company that produces very high quality and well-crafted products. So they had no other choice than being design-centric. But still, there's another reason why Apple is not only design-centric, but is extra design-centric. In 2011, shortly after Steve Jobs passed away, Steve Wozniak was here in Yerevan, and I was very lucky to have very short but very remarkable conversation with him. So I was an idiot not to take a photo with him, but anyway, whatever. So I was praising Apple design, and what he said was, yeah, Steve had a huge passion about the design. And that's it. And that reason is very important too. Because, there are some companies which business model really needs design, but that companies are run, let's say, by some dummies who don't get why the design is important. Okay, now let's speak how can you possibly define is company design centric or not. Maybe you're doing your research, and so this is quite simple, not very hard. First, go and check their product. If you overall like how it's designed, they're like the interaction, the usability, and the visual aspect too, yeah, that means that the team is very design centric. But that's not the only parameter. The other important thing is their design processes. To find this out, you should get to know some people who already work there and ask them to describe their everyday work. Okay? If what they say is, yeah, we apply design thinking mindset, we do prototype, we conduct user tests, we do some ideation workshops, design sprints, that's very cool. Also, you can go to LinkedIn and check their design roles. All design-centric companies already get that it's impossible to have a full-stack superhero designers that will do everything from research up to crafting mocks. So they are dividing the roles. If in LinkedIn you see their roles are divided into researcher, visual designer, like interaction designer, that's also may bring them a lot of DC points, Yeah, the other good to have parameters are they organizing design events? Do they have design blog? Or sometimes even like, do they have profile in Dribbble? I don't know why, but all design centric companies have a profile in Dribbble. Plus you can take their marketing materials like landing pages, ads. They are not handled by like product design team in case if you want to join the product design team. But still, yeah, that's also may show how they approach design and how they value the design too. So yeah, that may sound obvious. I'm an ambitious designer. I want to work in the best environment. So therefore I need to go and join a design-centric team. Again, that may sound obvious, yeah? But still, unfortunately, some of designers are making mistakes and joining non-design-centric companies. And as a result, they are ruining their progress, There are some particular reasons why this happens. So let's talk about them and try to find possible solutions. The first reason I want to highlight is this false Don Quixote mindset. Hearing all the quotes that we designers should always fight against the ugliness, we start picture ourselves like a knight in shiny armor, ready to fight all the bad design stuff. But honestly, speaking about medieval European knights, they never fought unless their suzerain asked them for. So joining a non-design centric company with the hope that you alone, without their support, are capable to change their culture into something more design-centric is just an illusion. Believe me, you will end with nothing, and all you'll get is like stress and this feeling that you can do better, but something is not letting you to fully express your creativity. Yeah, the same Apple was not design-centric always. We all remember their ugly Newton logo, but still, it wasn't something like Steve Jobs was sitting on the floor saying, hey, I don't know why design is important, and suddenly Johnny Ive appeared from the top of the sky on a flaming pine and said, excuse me sir, do you have a moment to talk about our Lord Dieter Rams? If you know what I mean. Of course it wasn't like that. Apple hired Johnny Ive because they were already an extra design-centric company. So that's it. If a company has a bad design, unless they hire you to help them join the bright side of the force, it's even useless to try. The second reason is ego. Yeah, design-centric companies may have a big design team with design lead or even like VP of design, yeah? And sometimes a junior designer that worked in some design-centric company may receive some suggestion to join a team that never had a designer before. And if that youngsters don't know how to deal with this bad thing called ego, they're gonna start thinking, hey, yay, they reached me by themselves, now I'm gonna join their team and be something like a design boss there. Okay, first of all, let's clarify. I'm very sorry to say, but there ain't no thing like a design boss, The product design is overall related to product strategy. And that product strategy, in its turn, is dictated by the overall business model of that company. And as a designer, you always have to think what is the best for your company, promote design ideas, argue with people, cooperate with people, and to do it perfectly, you also have to gain some experience in that too. And where you can gain that experience? Yeah, in the next design-centric company. Yeah, I know there are a lot of like success stories of people becoming celebrities in their very young age, but still don't try to jump over. Let your career grow organically. You had a goal to become the best junior, now you have to estimate a goal to become the best mid, then the best senior, etc., etc. So one small piece of advice, no matter how old are you and what you do, you have to differentiate these three things. The first is ambition, self-respect, and ego. These first two things are great if you have the healthy portion of them, and the ego is a thing you have to, is something you have to always fight because it's the worst enemy of your career. If company is hiring their first designer, then probably they're eager to become a design-centric company. But believe me, helping the company to make that transition is very tough. It's not an easy thing even for a very experienced designer, for very senior designers. So if they invite for this role a youngster who doesn't have enough experience, I can guarantee you that they're not even close to become a design-centric company. So if you are a young designer, if you don't have enough experience, if you work as a designer like less than about 7 years, and you are joining a team that never had a designer before, you will not end up being their design boss. All you'll have is you land a job in non-design centric company where you have to always struggle for any of your ideas, and instead of progressing, you might even degrade your overall skills. The third reason is self-doubt and the lack of persistence. Yeah, of course, all design-centric company has a nice design team, a great design environment, and all ambitious designers would like to get there. And therefore, landing a job in such a company is not an easy deal. But still, as mentioned, that's the only right career strategy. We all should have something like a dream company or several dream companies and do the best we can to get there. I know it's easy to say, but it's harder to do. But if you have that clue, if you really want to work there badly, you will find a way how to get there, So you will go to design community and become acquainted with people who already work there, figure out what parameters and skills they need when they hire a designer and work on them to make them perfect. And you'll learn what sort of questions do they ask during the interview and be prepared better and so on. So again, the purpose of this video is not to tell you how to land a job in your dream company, but my advice is always be persistent and work hard and smart and try to land a job in the most design-centric company. Okay, maybe a company that has about 9 design-centric level may reject you. You may go to other that have 8, which is great as well. And the good thing about design-centric companies that they always have positions for each career step. Okay, you may be a junior designer, they may have that position, or for mid, for senior, etc. So instead of just saying, hey, maybe I'm not good enough and I'll become a great designer, I will go and work for a design-centric company, it's better for you to always be humble and figure out for yourself where you are now. Are you really senior, or are you maybe mid? You are not senior yet. And apply for that appropriate position, but in design-centric company. Okay, them not design-centric companies may be popular too, or may have an inspiring mission or even a better salary. Yeah, that happens too. Not all well-known companies are very design-centric. As mentioned, their business domain may not need a great design. Or some digital products already became famous before, even before the golden age of UX started in late 2000s. And of course that companies may have an inspiring mission too. And a great example of such a company is Wikimedia, which owns the famous Wikipedia. I'm not saying that Wiki should have a very fancy, trendy design, but still, the whole idea of that product is people come and read the text, right? And so by the way, have you ever wondered why all the books have the pretty much same format, and big papers and magazines are dividing text into columns? Because the golden rule of readability is you should have from 12 to 15 words at each row. The I shouldn't run too far. That's the reason. That's it. And what guys from Wikipedia did, they just made the website fully responsive. So on like 5K iMac, if I like stretch down the browser on the full width, I will see like about 50 words, which is barely impossible to read. So you see the company completely ignores the design, but yeah, they're very famous, they have a very great mission, and vice versa. There are some companies who are not so famous yet, like Figma, Airtable, Miro, Notion, and they're just on their way to become $1 billion company. I hope they will become something like hectacorns. But yeah, that's it. They're not so as famous, and sometimes some designers, just to impress their Uncle Teddy during this Thanksgiving dinner, they make this wrong decision to join this famous, inspiring, but design hell companies. What about mission? Yeah, that's very cool, by the way. I'm very proud of my present company's mission, and that's very cool to wake up every morning and say, hey, I'm going to work on a product that really is making the world a better place. But still, for designers, nothing is more important than the level of design centrism. It's pretty much like with friendship. I don't know, you may have someone like a neighbor or a roommate that is smart, talented, handsome, but if that person is not showing you love, respect, care, I don't think that a real friendship between you and that person is really possible, right? So that's it. Again, I'm not saying you should work for a company which mission you hate, but again and again, the level of their design centrism should be the highest priority for you. Yeah, not all design-centric companies may have the best salary, that's true. The financial side is a very sensitive topic. I don't think I have the right to give some direct advice, but in my humble opinion, if you don't face any financial problems, which I hope you don't, the difference between salaries is not so high. This other company is way more design-centric. What I will do, I will, of course, choose the design-centric company. Why? It's, again, my opinion. We spend at work 8 hours, which is 1/3 of a whole day we live, right? And by the way, that's the most productive one. So working in a place where what you do is not very important, no, I don't think that's worth it. Okay, now let's talk about the saddest reason. Yeah, I guess there were some people who, from the very beginning of the video, were thinking, yeah, that's cool to hear all this stuff about design-centric company. If one design-centric company rejected you, you can be hired in the other. But what if I live in a place where there ain't no such companies, or there are very few? Yeah, I agree. That's the issue, and that's again, as mentioned, the saddest reason why some of designers don't work in design-centric companies. There are 3 possible kind of solution. As mentioned, design centrism is quite competitive thing, so you can simply define the most design-centric company in the place you live and do the best to get hired there. Or you can work remotely, which I personally don't prefer too much. Still, we have to collaborate and work with a lot of people, and it's very hard to do when you don't know them in person. And oh my God, if they're located in a very different time zone, for me that's a torture. But in case if you don't have any other choice, that's much better than nothing, And yeah, God bless 2020. Remote work is now more popular than ever. And yeah, the third solution is quite hard, and it's ridiculous to say in this year for the future generations that are watching this video. This video was recorded right in the middle of this COVID pandemic. So yeah, the borders are closed and it's impossible to relocate now, I guess, for a lot of people. But still, when this all ends up and maybe if it's possible, if you can do it, then I will recommend you to relocate to a place where there are more companies, there are more tech companies, and therefore more design-centric companies. That's not an easy thing, of course. Relocation is not an easy thing, but it's your choice. Maybe, yeah, for you it's better to hang around on a piece of ground in your hometown, waiting for someone or something to show you the way, respect to people who got the song. Or maybe move forward. I don't know. Again, you should decide it. But that's natural thing. You know, a lot of people were relocating, and there are very few people who became like famous in a place that they were born, right? Like, I don't know. Hey, like Milton Glaser, for example, he was lucky to born in New York and he became famous in New York. Or like Steve Jobs, he was born in San Francisco and he became famous in Bay Area. So that's it. If you really love your city, then you can come back and make the life more design centric, or help your local companies to become more design centric. So that's it. Ask yourself, if Apple has the maximum 10 and Wikimedia has the minimum 0, where your company stands in this DC scale. If it's something below 4 or like 3, then maybe it's time to revise your career, work on your skills, portfolio, professional connections, and then choose a dream company or several dream companies and do the best to get there. And as mentioned before, you have to figure out very clearly where you stand at the career ladder. Don't possess yourself like a principal designer after like completing 2 or 3 projects. People who work in DC companies will get your real level from the very first interview steps. So the great news is, even if you randomly send your portfolio and CV to all companies with open position and you are a really good designer, there's quite a chance you'll get hired in Design Centric company, you know, because design hell companies are not even capable of distinguishing good and bad design. But still, you shouldn't leave your career to the mercy of fate. So what we as designers can do to make a world a more design-centric place? Honestly, I don't know. Maybe we can start some movement, something like Make America Design-Centric again. Yeah, have some talks, train entrepreneurs about how design may help them grow their company, their business. But still, the final responsibility for DC level is not lying on designers. It lies on the people who run the company. And you know, the typical story of any company becoming design-centric is they rather change their business model, or they became more mature, or even they had a heavy punch on the face for ignoring the design. Even if we think of art, right? People are praising Michelangelo Buonarroti for the Sistine Chapel ceiling. But ask yourself, you know, who hired him? Who paid him? Who gave him enough freedom to work? It was Pope Julius II, by the way. Yeah, instead he could hire someone more cheap, some medieval artist guy, or come to Michelangelo Buonarroti and say, hey, make Adam's logo bigger, right? So that's it again. Alrighty, hope the video was like very helpful for you. If it was, give it a thumb up, subscribe for our new cool stuff to come, and help this video to spread. Show it to your friends. Really, I wish if somebody would tell me about Design Centrism when I was starting my career. That's it. See you in a week or two. Bye.